just want to watch it. The lines, I don't know. Are the Bears overvalued? Here's the interesting thing. I don't need my young quarterbacks to be perfect. I need progress. I'm not looking for perfection. The Vikings are bad on third down. They're giving the ball up, pre-snap penalties. I'm not getting progress. So the interesting thing is J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson are not working. He's averaging 4 catches a game. So you can go back to 2023 when the Vikings had Kirk Cousins and Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullen and Jaron Hall. Nobody was talking about Justin Jefferson quitting. There's a lot of talk now. Justin Jefferson's body language is bad. So that tells me the belief in the building practice is not great. That's what it tells me. So I don't think J.J. McCarthy has to beat the Bears. I think the Bears are pretty good. I was just asked this morning by somebody in Chicago, what do you make of the Bears? And I said, they're exactly what you see on TV. They're good enough to beat average teams narrowly. They got to clean some stuff up. They need DeAndre Swift back, but they're a good, solid playoff-feeling team that just needs to keep getting 7, 8, 9% better every weekend. It's really interesting. What also doesn't help J.J. McCarthy, let's be honest about this. You ever worked at a place and you have this employee that everybody loves and the company's better with the employee, and then the company does not pay that employee, goes across the street and he crushes it, and the guy that replaces him at your company, and not very good. Everybody's watching Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold. They were both in the building, and they're both having MVP years. So that doesn't help J.J. McCarthy because the two guys that everybody liked in the building left, and they're crushing it. So it just adds a dimension of pressure on him.
Yeah, I don't know how common this specific dynamic is in a typical workplace, but in football, it's definitely different. The point still stands, and it's absolutely going to feed into Justin Jefferson's frustration. He's probably thinking, look what Jackson Smith and Jigba and Sam Darnold are doing in Seattle. That should be me and Sam right now. And let's be clear, everyone in Minnesota loved Sam Darnold. No one saw him as a problem. They were celebrating him and were ecstatic to have him. He was considered part of the Vikings family. The decision to move on from him and draft J.J. McCarthy instead puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the rookie. That's just the reality. This situation also fuels the narrative that gets rehashed about Sam not performing in big moments. But the real issue was the offensive line. Sam was getting absolutely hammered. After that game, I was one of the few saying Kevin O'Connell deserved some blame for that, and then John Middlecoff shared the same take, which I appreciated. I've always been a big Kevin O'Connell fan, but it's easy to see how this timeline of events would leave people really frustrated. However, I don't think this necessarily implies that Justin Jefferson is currently upset or that the team has lost faith in J.J. McCarthy. It's more about general frustration with the current situation. As I've said many times, it is not Justin Jefferson's job to endure the growing pains of a young quarterback. He is the main character in his own career story, not a supporting actor in J.J. McCarthy's or Sam Darnold's narrative. In a profession with a limited window and high injury risk, every player is rightfully focused on their own legacy and success. He sees other teams winning. He sees the Eagles win a Super Bowl with a quarterback many don't consider elite. But he also has to be careful what he wishes for. Players like Jamar Chase put up huge numbers but can't win games. And Tyreek Hill, even with a healthy Tua Tagovailoa, couldn't win a playoff game. It's a tough spot. There were always going to be growing pains with J.J. McCarthy. It was never going to be a plug-and-play situation leading to an instant 12-2 record. With the offensive line struggling and generating constant pressure on both McCarthy and Carson Wentz, it's been a really difficult environment. Now, looking at this Bears team, we've seen what other quarterbacks like Jackson Dart were able to do against them before he got injured. We've seen other teams have success moving the ball. This does put more pressure on J.J. McCarthy. The Bears have been winning, but I think they are a bit overvalued. The challenge for the Vikings is clear. Hey, Brian Flores, you slowed down Lamar Jackson, now go do it to Caleb Williams. And JJ, it's time for us to start taking steps forward. That said, I don't love comparing quarterbacks directly. Everyone develops at a different rate, a lesson you learn as early as kindergarten. Just because Jackson Dart, a rookie, has had some success doesn't mean J.J. McCarthy is behind schedule. J.J. is in a great situation, but this roster hasn't been as dominant as hoped. It's not a system where you can just plug in any quarterback and have instant success. Veteran quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins were able to elevate the team because of their experience. We can't ignore that the offense nosedived last season. Being in a good situation doesn't automatically mean a young quarterback will play out of his mind and win consistently. If that were true, Why was Joe Burrow's backup, Jake Browning, not as successful as the veteran Joe Flacco when he stepped in? You have to let a young quarterback develop and give him grace. This is the frustrating part of paying a star like Justin Jefferson a massive contract. The conversation has to include, hey, we are developing a quarterback. We need you to be the face of this, to be a soldier and be supportive. It's easy to be optimistic at the start of the season, but when reality hits and you see other teams succeeding, it gets tough. This is the hardest part of team building. The we're all a family sentiment has truth to it, but it's often more complicated. So, is there pressure on J.J. McCarthy to outplay Caleb Williams? I made a video comparing them, but it's not entirely fair given the vast difference in the number of games they've played. Is it fair to expect J.J. to have a higher quality game than he has in the past? Yes, that's understandable. I would still give him grace if he struggles, as I believe in allowing young quarterbacks to go through growing pains. But, as I and others have said, I don't know what quarterback you could plug into this team right now that would automatically solve their problems. If they can protect J.J. McCarthy and give him just half a second more in the pocket, I think we would see a drastically different quarterback, just as we saw with Carson Wentz. When Wentz had time, he was effective. When that time was taken away, he got knocked out. You have to protect your quarterback. We'll see what happens against the Bears. I've been focusing on the other box office games this week. Bucks Bills, Eagles Lions, Broncos Chiefs, where the stakes feel higher. The consequences of a Chiefs loss, for instance, are devastating, while a Broncos win could mean a division title. The Bears-Vikings game, while important for both teams fighting for position, seems to hold a slightly lower immediate stakes. So for me, this game is less about judging the Vikings' entire 2025 season and more about answering one question. Who is J.J. McCarthy right now? What can he prove and show us against the Chicago Bears? I'm not as focused on pitting him directly against Caleb Williams, given the experience gap, but I'm excited to watch him nonetheless. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about J.J. McCarthy taking on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree, let's get some discussions going. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and would love to have you be a part of it. I want to build something we all feel connected to and are really excited about. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.